In this video, we're going to look at how to assign billable expenses to your agents in Xero. Now, this is obviously an important task. You're going to have items that you pay for as a brokerage each month, and then you're going to need to bill them back to your agents to recover those costs. So what we're going to do first of all is I just want to show you that we do have an agent in the system that has an outstanding invoice and a draft invoice. I'm just going to search for my agent. So I've gone into invoices and I'm going to go to Mason. Mason's our agent. So you can see here I've searched for Mason. He has two invoices. One of them is a draft and the other one is actually an approved invoice that's awaiting payment. So I want you to make note of that because it will be slightly different how we assign billable expenses to a draft invoice as compared to one that's already awaiting payment. But I will go through that and I will show you in this video. So let's go back up to the top and I now need to create a bill then. So I'm going to go to bills to pay. So bills to pay is where I need to go, but I can also go through the dashboard if you wish to. So if you're in the dashboard, you can come down this right hand side and you can just click on the button here that says new bill. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new bill. So this is going to open up my new bill screen. And I'm going to enter the name of the signage company that we use. So it's the sign company. I'm going to enter the bill date and the due date. I'm going to add the line item. So you can see here I've added the line item for signs. I'm now going to go ahead and enter $200. So this is the amount we're going to pay for signage. And now down at the bottom here, you can see there's a button that says assign expense to a customer. So I want to assign this expense to my agent Mason. So I'm going to click on this button and it opens up this screen. I can now go ahead and check the box for my signs. And if I search at the top here for Mason, you'll see Mason Smith will appear. I can select Mason's name. I can now assign this item to Mason. So I'm going to go ahead and assign and then I will click OK. So there we go. We've assigned this item. I can now hit the approve button or the save button if I want to keep it as a draft, but I'll hit approve on this occasion. And we now have a bill that's awaiting payment. I could go ahead and pay that bill now and pay for our signage. So let's now go back to the invoice. So I'm going to go back to the dashboard. I'm going to come into my invoices area here and I'm just going to click on my little link that says 91 awaiting payment. I go in this way just so I can get into my invoices page. And what we can now see is under the draft tab, if I click on draft, and I'm going to do my search again for Mason, just to narrow it down. Remember to use the search bar. And you can see here, this is our draft invoice for Mason. So if I click on this invoice to open it up, you'll see straight away at the top left hand side here, there's a little link that says one billable expense can be added. Now if I click on that, it's going to give me my signs that I paid for $200, and I can now click the blue button to add the items. That is then going to add this $200 to this draft invoice to Mason. So that's how you're going to do it if it's a draft invoice. It will add the line item, you'll then approve the invoice when you're ready to do so. Now I want to bring you back to the other example. Let's go back to invoices. Let's just say this wasn't a draft invoice now. We want to look at an invoice that's already approved. So you've already approved an invoice, but you want to add the $200 for the signage to an approved invoice. We're going to go to search again here. Notice I changed into the awaiting payment tab. I'm going to search for Mason. I'm going to hit the search button. And there we go. Mason's invoice pops up. So this is the approved one for $367.50. So I'm going to open up the approved invoice. Now you're going to see this looks slightly different to the draft invoice that we looked at a moment ago because we don't have the little blue link here that says add billable expense. So you're probably looking at this now thinking, well, where would I go ahead and add that billable expense? So it's slightly different on an approved invoice. You have to click up here on the invoice options. We now need to go down and edit this approved invoice. So click on the edit button and it opens up an editable page. But you can see now the one billable expense can be added. So this link has now appeared because we've opened up the edit. We can click on this, and in the same way as I showed you before, we can go ahead and add the items. So a couple of different ways there to assign items to your agents. One other scenario I want to just run past you is, and I'm going to take you back to the dashboard again. Now, if you need to assign multiple, many items from a bill to multiple agents, we can do that as well. You would go to new bill. So let's create another bill for our sign company. Let's just say sign company again. We're paying the sign company $500 in total. So it's going to be a $500 bill, but I'm going to pay $250, or I'm going to assign $250 to one agent and $250 to another agent. So I'm going to add the sign item. The description, I'm going to change the description slightly, and I'm going to enter the name of the agent. So this one is going to be for Dan Elmer, this line item. It's going to be a quantity of 1, and I'm going to say $250 will be going to Dan, and I'm going to add another line item for signs, and I'm going to edit and say this will be going to our other agent that we've got, Donna Slade. And Donna will also be paying $250 towards this bill when we assign it to her. So you can see here, I've added 2 line items to my bill to the sign company. Now down at the bottom, we have this option here to assign expense to a customer. So I can click on this button now, and it gives me the 2 items, the $250 items that I can now assign. So let's go ahead and assign Dan's first of all. So I'm going to check the box next to Dan. I'm now going to search for Dan in the little search tab. Dan will pop up, and I can assign that item. I now have one remaining item here of $250 that I want to assign to Donna. So be careful to deselect Dan's item first, then select Donna's item, and I can now search for Donna. And I can go ahead and assign the item to Donna. So you can see here, $250 of this bill will be allocated to Dan's invoice, and $250 will be allocated to Donna's invoice. You can then go ahead and click the OK button to confirm that. So there we go, guys. That's how you assign billable expenses to your agents in Xero.